Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders Midweek. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
You know, Dylan, I kind of miss introducing Mountain Murders offbeat.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of,
I don't know.
It's bittersweet. And we've moved on from there.
Oh, have we?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
How are you doing
I'm doing great.
this midweek? We're like a day late, per usual. We just can never be on time, it seems.
We really try hard, but something always happens.
Well, life's been throwing some like tennis balls at us, right?
Yeah. And we don't have a racket.
Like a ball machine.
Yeah.
And it's just like blowing, tennis balls at me. And I'm like, fuck, trying to dodge them. I don't have a racket. They're like, slapping me in the face.
Whoa, are we discussing you taking balls to the face?
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. This past couple weeks has been rocky.
Yeah, it
I don't know
has.
if it's like a fucking retrograde or something. I'm sure one of our astrologers out there will let us know. But it seems like the universe is on a tilt or something. I don't know.
It's Planet X coming near us. We're all going to die.
What's Planet X?
Oh, it's just a alleged rogue planet floating around out there in the universe. And if it comes, was to come anywhere near us, it could destroy
idea of
everything.
A rogue planet.
I know.
Like it's just rebellious.
It's got like a leather jacket with
rebel force.
Yeah, leather jacket with studs.
Yeah, it's got like a switchblade comb.
Oh my
it's like,
God!
I'm gonna come near Earth and fuck it up.
Yeah.
You want to tango Saturn?
Oh, he's not snapping, is?
Maybe. Yeah. It's,
Okay.
It's like the Beat It video.
Yes.
They're like in a knife fight, but it's like these two planets.
I want to see this movie.
I do too.
Okay.
Someone who does animation should make that.
Rogue Planet.
Okay, I didn't know about Planet X. Thanks for informing me.
It's the name of the
Learn something new every day.
name of a new franchise forthcoming this summer.
Well,
Well,
Dylan, there's a documentary that I am excited to see. It will be coming to Netflix called Jimmy Savile, a British horror story.
Oh, dude, I actually saw that was in the banner last night, and I was like, oh my God.
It's already there.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's already there.
Now, do you want to tell them who Jimmy Savile is?
Well, he's an English murderer from, right? Is he?
Well, he is a BBC star. Was very prominent on radio and television for decades in the 1970s. Basically up until the turn of the millennium.
He was like a institution, right?
Right.
Very, very iconic.
Maybe like the Walter Cronkite of England type of thing, right? Like well-known public figure. But it turns out he was a serial sex abuser and a fucking pedophile, which we hate. So basically a shitbird. This information did not come to light publicly until he died in 2011. Like I said, he was this entertainment staple. He had a long-running BBC show called Jimmy'll Fix It, in which children would write in and have their wishes granted.
How disgusting is that?
It's always these sickos that end up in these positions.
Well, that's because if you
they position them.
Yes.
They position themselves to be in these positions. Is that right?
Right. If you're fishing for trout, you go to the trout waters, right? You go where you're going to find what you're looking for. And you know what really pissed me off about this guy? I was off on the murderer thing, but yes, I recall who you're talking about now because we've discussed this guy personally between us. Is this guy got to live his freaking life and then die, and then it comes out. He never paid for it.
Some of his victims, they were mostly young girls, during charitable endeavors like hospital visits.
See, this right here, this type of guy, this monster preying on these countless children over and over, right out in public. This is what makes me question. I want Old Testament God back, who smites people down directly, personally, one at a time. Because if anyone deserves to die in
to be smited,
to be smote,
you need to be smoted upon.
If anyone deserves it, it's a piece of shit like this guy. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He would also meet young girls on the set of his TV show and encourage them to come to his dressing room.
Okay.
In the aftermath of his death at age 84, police investigated nearly 500 allegations of abuse. 2 years later, there was an official report produced by authorities titled Giving Victims a Voice. I mean, this guy really did hide in plain sight. He used his celebrity status and fundraising activity to gain control of these vulnerable people for 6 decades, Dylan.
Well, the only good thing about it coming out is at least his reputation. People really know what a monster he was, and his memory and his reputation will be forever tarnished and connected to these atrocities. I mean, 500. Even if you do us, even if they're not all true, if 5 or 1 is true, it's too much. But hundreds, I mean, that's disgusting.
He duped a lot of people, including the royal family.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, it
if
should
I
be
can.
very interesting. I have been searching for a new true crime documentary or kind of series to get into. It seems like there's been a little lull. I haven't really found anything that piqued my interest, but I definitely am going to watch this. So if you're looking for something out there, listeners, maybe we could all watch it together.
Yes, and if you listened to last week's Mountain Murders episode on the Cheshire Murders,
yeah,
the documentary on Netflix, which I obviously should have watched before we did the episode, but I didn't realize it was on there. It's interesting, but it's hard to watch, especially if you've already heard the story and you know what's going to happen. But you should check that out if you can stand it. See, I don't even know if I can watch this Jimmy Savile thing. It was like the thing the guys come out talking about abuse connected to Michael Jackson. I just couldn't personally watch that. So we'll see.
It's tough. I'm interested in this case because we've discussed this at length on the podcast. Those folks who listen regularly know about elite pedophile rings. I know I'm not like a QAnon person, but I do believe that this shit happens and it exists, and it involves these high ranking officials and people in the government, celebrities.
Yep.
I think it happens. I mean, this right here is proof. We've got Jimmy Savile. We've got Jeffrey Epstein, which just proves this shit goes on.
It really happens, and it's beyond the victimization of these poor children and people.
Sandusky?
It's about power. It's about power with these elites. They have everything. They have all the power, money, toys, and we've said this before, but I think it's about power and about taboo. It being taboo and outside of the societal norm. They're like, fuck you, I can do what I want because I'm powerful. And it's disgusting.
It is.
And it's happening right now, somewhere.
Let's move on to lighter topics, Dylan.
Yes, let's.
Topics that will have you floating on a cloud.
Oh,
They're
my
so
God.
light. No, I'm just kidding. We have listener stories. I was, considering what are we going to talk about this week? Do we want to discuss some of the true crime news? But then I remembered I had in the vault some listener stories that folks have emailed. They've sent us via Twitter, Instagram. I love these stories.
Oh my gosh. You know how happy I
These
was?
are so fun.
Did a big smile not break out on my face when you said we're doing listener stories?
Yes.
And I told you how much I
we
love them.
hearing from our listeners. And you guys have some bomb-ass stories.
It's true. They got that wop.
Still sort of stick with... Some of these stories still stick with me. And I think about them and I'm like, that's creepy.
Oh, I must say, did you see on TikTok that girl talking about the water table and the cycle of water on Earth? She's dressed up like the planet Earth and on stage, and she's singing Wet Ass Planet.
No.
And she's doing all the facts about the water.
This is her science
the waters.
fair project?
Yes.
That's awesome.
She's at like college level or something, but it's incredible. So you got to go find that video. It's a Wet Ass Planet.
Okay, are you ready, Dylan?
Let's go.
Okay, first email. Hey, Heather and Dylan. I love the listener stories and had a couple to share.
Hey.
I wanted to tell y'all about something spooky that happened to me back in around 2008. I was a hospice nurse in my home state of West Virginia. We were on call quite often through the night during various things such as death visits, admissions, and assisting if people's symptoms were out of control, such as pain, shortness of breath, anxiety, etc. One night, I had just admitted someone to our services and returned back to the local office to complete my charting. As I was sitting at my desk, I heard the elevator ding. I thought this was strange due to the fact I was alone in the building. I mustered up the courage to walk up to the front of the building in time to see the elevator doors closing with no one aboard. It then traveled up to the second floor and stopped for a while up there and then returned to the bottom floor. When I say I got the heck out of Dodge, I truly did. My fat butt got the fuck out of there.
Oh my God. Now, how weird would that be? This elevator's going to, multiple floors, opening, closing, Yeah, and that seems like a very strange malfunction if that's what it was.
We had a haunted elevator when I was in college.
Oh.
I was an RA in a freshman dorm.
Yeah, we heard.
No, and we had, there was a student that had passed away. I believe it was the 5th floor. And after that, people would say they experienced strange things. Who knows? But the elevator would work on its own. And it had this tendency to get stuck.
Oh, my God.
Which sucked. Yeah. But it would like randomly open and close and like go to random floor. Like somebody was pushing buttons, but there was no one there.
Oh, that's
This
so
happened
weird.
all the time. People would make jokes about the haunted elevator.
Damn.
But it creeps me out.
Who was that story from?
Oh, I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done.
Also, while doing the same job, I once traveled at 2 a.m. to see someone up on Texas Mountain. It was up a long and winding road up through the mountains in Tucker County, West Virginia. I had great difficulty finding the house. One of the descriptions that the family had given was to turn left at a big tree. Being in the woods on a mountain road, I was like, which fucking big tree? Exactly. Cell service in this area was pretty non-existent at that time, and this was before the time that I had invested in GPS. I finally got to a home that looked like a little rundown, but the porch lights were on, so I went onto the porch and knocked. The door creaked open slowly as soon as I put my hand on it. I got the most horrible feeling of dread and turned and ran back to my Explorer. I finally found the right home around 45 minutes later, further up on the mountain. It was one of the creepiest experiences I've ever had.
Oh, my God.
Also a funny story. Don't worry, you don't have to tell them if you... No, we want to tell. We want to tell. This is from Karen B, by the way. No, Karen, we want to tell your stories. While also working for hospice, my boss Brenda and I went together to admit a little elderly man to our services. It had been snowing most of the day, and we were at around 6 inches at that point. While leaving, I looked down at Brenda's boots and I said, Brenda, be careful in your fashion boots. They might not do well. I had sturdier boots on with really good tread. As soon as I said that, I proceeded to fall and slide down the hill. Brenda said, Karen, I think you should invest in some of these fashion boots. It's a good one. And one night I was working at a local hospital on the surgery unit. One of our patients was extremely confused and kept coming to my med cart to talk to me as I did my 10 p.m. med pass. He said, who's that horse down the hall? I looked and noticed him gesturing to my CNA. I said, oh, that's Becky. He looked at me with all serious and said, no, the horse that keeps coming into my room. I didn't even try to reorient him. He was totally convinced that she was of the equine variety.
Oh, my God.
I've never been called a horse or been confused with a horse.
Well, thank you, Karen.
But that is a funny story. How about you, Dylan? Has anyone ever thought you were a horse?
No.
Now
No.
Karen lives in Greensboro.
Okay. Oh, is this Nurse Karen?
Nurse Karen.
Hey, girl. What's up?
So those are some good stories.
Yeah, she just showed up in our little Discord chat. Girl, what's up? So you were just down around the Greensboro area, correct?
I was.
Multiple times.
A couple of times in the past week.
Conveying your son back and forth to the airport.
It's a long way to drive for an airport drop-off and pick-up. I have to
It's
say.
pretty good. It's about
4.5 hours to the Raleigh-Durham airport from us.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, on the final leg of the trip, after I'd made this trip several times, I was just sort of on autopilot. Like, I don't even remember getting from Raleigh to the house. It was just a lot of podcasts and pounding coffee and driving.
Yeah, so these multiple trips, they happened to, just right quick, I'll say this. One weekend, she went and got Zane, her son, and then the next weekend, she took him back to the airport to fly home. And the reason they always like direct flights for him because he flies with a chaperone and all that. And so that's why we drove so far. But anyway, I had to work and I couldn't help her drive. And both times she just would text me and be like, oh my God, traffic or this is happening. And she just sounded so pitiful.
Look, I've been very open about having like PTSD issues and anxiety through the fucking roof, like crippling anxiety at times. Driving, as I've gotten older, I would say in the last few years, driving stresses me out so badly. I feel like I cannot drive further than like 2 hours away. Like after about 2 hours, I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need someone else to drive me. I need a chauffeur. I need my kid to get licensed.
Driving Miss
Something.
Heather.
Yeah.
So even around town, if we're together, I typically, you throw me the keys.
Yeah, and I was never like that before. Like when I was younger, I would do like a 20-hour road trip, drive across the United States in 3 days, but I just can't do it anymore.
It's not for her.
Wigs me out.
Okay, thank you, Karen, for those stories. But I must say the one about the elevator was creepy.
Yeah, right?
Because if I'm anywhere and an elevator is going between floors by itself and I know that I'm fairly certain I'm the only person in the building, I would be very, very weirded out.
Elevators are creepy in general just because they don't seem that safe to me. And then I watched something a while back and maybe a year or two ago, and it was about elevator safety and how even though they're inspected, most of these elevators that are operating in buildings are, 30, 40, 50 years old.
Oh, I got to say we have some ancient elevators in the mill.
Yeah.
And the inspections.
I always think of that.
Quotation
Yes.
are a joke.
So every time I get in one, I'm like, oh, I'm really putting my life on the line here.
Now, what is it about the fact, I guess because you're in this box, so even regular people have no issues or feeling a bit claustrophobic maybe, but if it doesn't operate correctly or sticks between floors, we just instantly turn into animals. It goes like to our primordial fears or some shit.
Well, the weird haunted elevator in college that would just open and close would get stuck. And there were multiple times I would be on the elevator and it would open between floors.
Oh, no.
So you would just see like some weird industrial wall type of concrete thing. And then above it would be like 6 inches of open and you could see carpet and like feet. Yeah.
Never, ever try to climb up and squeeze out that opening if it opens between floors.
No.
Oh, my God. Because all I could think is the elevator is going to move and it's going to cut you in half.
Who are you? Like 007 or Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible?
Oh, my God.
No.
All right.
Got another one for you. This is from Renee.
Hey, Renee.
She is very active on our Instagram.
I see Renee over there on the gram.
She's very friendly. Hey, y'all. So I wanted to share my bonkers story that happened not long after my son and I moved into this old house in East Tennessee. We had a few random things happen that we really thought nothing about, like a Minion toy making a noise, until we realized that toy was still in storage, but we both just shrugged it off. One night, I was sound asleep, and my son, who was probably 6 at the time, was asleep beside me. Except I woke up and he was standing at the end of the bed just crying his eyes out. I said, Blake, what's wrong? Come to me. He just stood there. So I went to grab him and poof, he was gone.
What?
I panicked for a minute, sat back, reached over, and he was sound asleep beside me, not crying, not at the foot of the bed. Never seen a ghost or apparition since, although weird things still happen. We joke now that the ghost is always messing with us and what he or she will do when we move out because not everyone would be okay with this.
Oh, my God.
Love listening to y'all. Hugs from East Tennessee mountains. It's Renee.
Oh, she's near us.
Holy shit.
Damn it, Renee.
That's pretty scary.
No, that would be the freakiest event of my life. Not only and at first you could maybe be like, well, I think I was seeing something, but then you turn around and your son's sound asleep beside you. There's no way he was up. It wasn't a trick of light. Oh, my God. That's pretty weird.
It is. So give me just a second here because I need to increase my font. I'm having a hard time reading because I'm half blind.
Oh, yeah. I can't see
and
either.
I do have my glasses on, but I still can't see shit. So
it's because you're let me just tell people right quick about your glasses.
What's wrong with my glasses?
They're in a perpetual state of sticky smudges, and you can never figure out why.
I don't know. It's like a little child has grabbed my glasses or something.
She'll be like, will you clean my glasses? Because for some reason, if I'm wearing like a white cotton t-shirt under another shirt, a nice shirt or whatever, that mixed with my body chemicals, my chemistry is like the best glass cleaning product ever. Will you agree?
Strips the gunk right off.
It does better than the store-bought screen cleaners. And she'll hand them to me, and I look, and it's like, what the hell?
Okay, I'm sorry, folks. I have increased my font. I can read comfortably now. Are you ready, Dylan?
No.
This comes from...
And then she tells me, and I look at him. I'm sorry, I just have to finish this thought. And it's like a damn 3-year-old who's been eating damn pudding and sticky treats all day had your glasses.
I don't know how that happens.
You're sticky. Let's go.
Only when I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay. This is coming from Alicia.
Hey, Alicia.
Dylan and Heather. I wanted to write in for a while with this story. This is a family story that has been passed down, so I'm not sure how much of it is authentic or fact. My great-great-grandmother grew up the youngest of 5 kids. She had an older brother named Merrick, who was around 16 when he went missing. I should first give you some background information. My great-great-uncle was a bad kid. Everyone said he was violent, a bully, and got into lots of trouble. There were stories about him beating up a teacher and getting arrested several times, though he would only spend like a night in jail. His mother was left to raise the children after her husband was killed in a timber accident. From what I have been told, his mother was a very slight woman, petite, barely 5 feet tall, and weighed 90 pounds soaking wet. Her name was Flora. Her son was abusive not only to his mother, but siblings. It would come out later that he was also a predator, if you know what I mean.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so we're establishing not a good guy here. One thing that struck me as odd about him was his fear of the dark. Despite the fact that he was the damn devil, everybody said he was very afraid of the dark. It was on It was on a cold October evening when Merrick went outside to the barn on the family property. His dog had a litter of puppies, and he was going to check on them. He took a lantern with him, but then he didn't come back in before everyone went to bed. The next morning, he didn't show up for breakfast, but this wasn't unusual. Sometimes he ran away and would stay gone for days at a time. By then, he had already quit school and was drinking and getting into trouble. It took almost 5 days before anybody truly realized he was missing. Everybody thought he had just run away. Years passed and no word of my uncle ever came. Keep in mind this happened in the early 1900s. Flora passed away sometime in the late 50s or early 60s, and the property went to my great-uncle George, my great-great-grandma's brother. Sometime in the late 70s, his kids inherited the land and decided to raise the old barn and some of the buildings on the property. When they did excavation work, they found a body buried in the barn.
Oh, my God.
It was believed to be Merrick. Family rumor is that Flora, the tiny woman, murdered her son to protect her other kids, especially when she learned what he'd been doing to his sisters.
Oh, my God.
From what I've been told, the bones were never reported to authorities and simply buried again forever. Relatives built several houses on that land that still stand today. Supposedly, Merrick is buried under one of them. It's all been kept hush-hush over the years, and like I said, I don't even know if it's true. Some of my cousins live there to this day. I've only been to the property twice in my life. This all happened in southeastern Ohio. If it's true, it's a real mountain murder.
Damn. Wow, that could be a damn movie, dude.
It's pretty crazy.
No, for real. I mean, think about that. And honestly, there's got to be some seed of truth to it, because who would make that story up? You know what I mean?
I know.
I mean, why?
When you hear some stories that are passed down, that family oral history,
Yeah.
you never know quite for sure, like, okay, how much truth is there? But there has to be a seed of truth in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can be embellished or changed, or, the game of telephone is going to change as people tell it, especially a literal oral history. But, wow, there has to be something. And if any of it's true, it's just, wow, it's an incredible story.
Well, this is what I found so interesting about it. When I read the story, I was like, oh, this is great. We got to talk about this. One, the time period, because it would be hard to know if a kid was missing or ran away.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't have the like the global connections we have today. There's no database. It probably wouldn't make it into a newspaper. Depending on where you lived, you might not even be able to report that to authorities. You might think your child just ran away and you'd never see or hear from them again.
Yeah, and if the people closest to the child would be the only one who would report it, if they didn't report it for some reason, then nobody would know.
And then I have questions like, did she have help? Because if she was such a tiny woman, like, how did this all happen?
Damn.
So
That was a good one.
It's a good one, right? We have more good ones, Dylan.
That was a good one.
Are you ready for our next one?
These are all good in their own special way.
It's true. We have amazing listeners. Ready?
Shit, am I?
This happened in 1986 when I was about 11 years old. It still gives me absolute chills. I used to live on a dairy farm in a very rural area where the nearest house was about 3 miles away. It wasn't unusual for me to be outside until dark, especially in the summertime. I know I've heard y'all say us 80s kids lived in a different time. My parents had no issues with us leaving out early in the morning and not showing up until lunch, then disappearing again until supper. There were never threats or dangers around, so I would take walks up and down our long driveway surrounded by pasture land or play in the woods on our property. On this night, I had been out playing in a makeshift fort I'd built in the woods when it started getting dark and drizzling. I I started walking home, which meant I had to cut across our pasture to the dirt road that was like a driveway up to our house. I had a space under the barbed wire that I would climb under. I'd only been walking a few minutes up the long driveway when I got a gut feeling telling me to get to the house as quickly as possible. When I got back to the house, I stood at the bottom of our porch and saw headlights on the road that met our drive, and in the light, there was a dark figure standing there, maybe about 150 feet away. When I went inside and told my parents I'd seen someone on our property, my mom had seen someone earlier in the day she thought lurking around. She suspected it might have been one of the migrant workers from the farm over. My dad went outside and looked around but didn't see anyone. I always felt like this person was watching our house or maybe following me. There were so many kidnapping stories back then, and it might have just been a harmless situation, but it scared the daylights out of me. By the way, I love your podcast. I found it on YouTube when I was looking into the Roden family murders. You hooked me real fast, and it's signed Ken.
Thanks, Ken. Now, that's such a 80s parents response. Like, oh, yeah, I saw somebody creeping around earlier today, but I never come and found your ass and made sure you was okay. Right?
That's probably nothing.
Oh, that was a totally 80s kid schedule, bro. You get up, you catch some breakfast, make sure your mom don't need you to do anything, and then you're gone. You come busting in around lunch, all dusty, had a little granny beads on your neck from the dirt and the dust and
Probably
sweat.
having spent the morning doing something dangerous as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like trying to ride your bicycle over some rock cliff like you're Evil Knievel or something.
Yeah, or you chopping shit in the woods with some axe you lifted from somewhere or a hatchet.
I mean, it is a million wonders that we didn't die.
Yeah, and then...
Because we did some dumb shit, and we were so unsupervised.
Yeah.
That even if we had gotten seriously hurt, it would have taken our parents hours to know this.
And see, that's when you had these little, one little kid in the group does some dumb shit, like throws a rock and hits somebody's window or something. And then they have those people, they know who you are and where you live, and they go tell your parents. But these kids nowadays, it's like they're not even going to have little badass kids out in the street because they're in the house on their phone.
I mean, I guess there's good and bad involved with that.
I was saying this is a plus of this society now. There's no little badass kids breaking your property.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Trying to climb your fence, get
Yeah.
in your swimming pool, up on your roof.
Yeah, and then get back.
Building a makeshift parachute to try to jump off the roof with. And then they break a leg. Not that I ever tried to jump off a roof with a makeshift parachute or anything. But
Oh, did you have an umbrella up there? And you thought you saw it on Mary Poppins?
I had this friend, and she had an older brother, and we would go to her grandparents' house, and they lived like out in the country, and we were set loose. And we did some dumbass shit. They had like a loft built in their garage that was supposed to be like a clubhouse, and we'd be like jumping out. I don't know how we didn't break something. Climbing up in trees, out in the woods. There was a pig farm nearby. We'd sneak over there. I mean,
nice.
I don't know how we didn't die.
Yeah, and then be home by dusk, which in the summertime's like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, your mama puts you in the bathtub and the water turns black because you're so dirty.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
caked and you're all nasty.
Man, I want to be a kid again.
Me too. Can we just go back?
Man.
Can we just have adult playtime? I just want to play.
Dude, yeah, well, you have those adult recess games leagues, and I think I would actually join
That'd be
one.
fun.
I'd play kickball and dodgeball.
I just want like nap time and milk and cookies, and we can do like art time, and I want somebody to read a story to me.
Oh, man, I had them little black cat, black cat fireworks. They're on the string. I would take them off individually, and I had this perfect stick for it that kind of looked like a rifle, and then I put one in it, and I had a lighter. I don't know where the fuck to light. I had a lighter, and I'd light it, and then I'd point it like I'm firing, and then it'd go pop.
Was that your musket?
Hey, you couldn't tell me shit, dude. I had the best fucking time.
Would someone tell General Washington we need him to cross over the
Delaware.
the Potomac
Yeah.
with his musket?
They're trying to outflank us, General Washington.
Exactly.
Not today. Yeah, I mean, totally. Just playing all this stuff out in your head and by yourself. You got your dogs, or you might have a friend here or there. Man, it was good times, though.
Yeah. I remember Young Guns was like a huge movie
Oh,
when I was a
shit.
kid, right? And so my friend and her brother, like we were obsessed with that film, and we played cowboys all the time, and we had the cap guns.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we just like run around shooting each other, and so that was like a fun thing we did for about a year.
Man, it's funny how the toy guns and running around shooting each other and, doing all this, it's kind of went
Pretending
the
like your bicycle was a horse.
way, it went the way of the dinosaurs nowadays with all the school shootings, sadly.
Are you ready for our next story?
Man, let's go, bro. You know what? That just like, released endorphins or some shit in my head.
You did?
Yeah, thinking about those times.
Hey, Mountain Murders Podcast. I love true crime, and your podcast is one of my weekly downloads. Several years ago, I was renting a really old house, which was fairly small, but I was single with only a cat, so it worked out fine for me. My lease was ending, so I decided to start clearing out some of my stuff and had already begun filling out applications for an apartment. I wanted a pool on site. What can I say? I was cleaning out under the kitchen sink, which I'll be honest, I never did, and it was a mess.
Oh my God.
Relatable.
Our under sink right now is disgusting.
There's just so much.
I think there's a creature that lives back there.
There's probably a person that lives back there.
He's like, hey, how you doing, buddy?
When I pulled out all of the junk under there, I saw a small white thing that kind of looked like a pipe of some sort. But then I realized it wasn't going anywhere. It was actually a lever to open a crawl space, which I had never known was there. The space was built going down to the dirt floor basement underneath.
Oh, wow.
Out of curiosity, I grabbed my cell phone for the flashlight app and climbed into this cabinet. I popped open the small door area, which was very small, maybe like 12 by 18. I'm assuming inches. There was no way I could fit into it. Anyway, inside the door area, I found an old rusted out gun.
Wow.
I know nothing about guns, but I let out a squeak and got out of the cabinet. I had a friend who was into guns, so one day I asked him to come over and look at it. We managed to get the gun up, and my friend told me it was a Derringer with a .22 caliber. Fast forward, when I moved out of the house, I had by that time put the gun in an old shoebox and told my landlord about it. My landlord chuckled and told me they once caught a bank robber hiding out in the house back in the day, and this was probably some gun he'd stashed. Who knew?
Oh, my God.
Thought you might enjoy the story. If you don't want to read it, it's okay. No, we wanted to read it. This is from Taya in San Antonio.
Thank you, Taya. That's a very interesting story, of course. We just read it, girl. Damn. How interesting.
A bank robber gun.
You know, Derringers were really popular back in the day.
Those are the really small
guns,
I think
right? Either single or maybe two shots.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about
guns.
Yeah,
they were marketed, if I'm no gun guy, but I'm pretty sure they were marketed like easy for women to carry.
I was going to say, they were the tiny ones, right, that like women could put in their purse, and some of them were like pearl handled.
Yeah.
Like pretty decorative,
right.
Little bitty.
Yeah.
That's one, right?
They're tiny.
Because I always think Derringer. I always want to call it a Dillinger, and then I'm like, no, it's a Derringer.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would put that damn thing in a shadow box. I would leave it just the way I found it, and it would be on my wall. Wow.
Okay, next story. I have to share my super weird story that happened before COVID ruined everybody's social life.
Oh my God.
I'm gay, and I had just started dating this new woman. We went to dinner and then decided to hit up a gay bar in her town. She lived about 30 minutes away from me for karaoke. Okay, I love some karaoke.
I love gay bars.
They're fun.
Karaoke at a gay bar sounds incredible.
That sounds like the most fun I would have in my entire life.
Yeah.
We ended up sitting outside so we could talk when this woman who had been sitting alone got up and walked over to our table. She was dressed pretty outrageous in this red shiny pleather corset dress and a bad wig. It wasn't fetish night or anything at this bar. Everyone was dressed casually, so she stuck out like a sore thumb. My first indication that I didn't like this person was when she blew cigarette smoke in my face.
Ugh.
She asked if it was okay to join us, and I was going to say no, but my date, who was very sweet, didn't want to be rude and offered her one of the two empty chairs at our table. She introduced herself as Gemini, which I thought was a ridiculous name, but whatever. Gemini began telling us all kinds of stuff that we didn't want or need to hear. She told us how she was a dominatrix and was really rich, even handed my date her debit card to pay for drinks. And by the way, her name was really Gemini on the card, LOL.
Oh my God.
She told us about how she had been affiliated with a gang when she was younger and got kidnapped and held in Mexico for several months. She pulled out her phone showing us pictures of all the nice stuff she had. Cars, and a photo of a huge loft apartment with a city view, and trust, we didn't live anywhere near a place like this. Then things got really awkward when she started asking us all kinds of sex questions and telling us about her freaky clients. I'm a prude probably by today's standards and didn't feel comfortable discussing my sex life with a stranger. My date was laughing and making eyes at me like, this bitch crazy. She then asks me if I would be into some fun that night and put her hand, or if we would be into some fun that night, and put her hand on my date's back and leaned in close to her. Gemini then asked if we wanted some drugs. We turned her down. I felt like this person would not leave us alone, and she continued asking if we wanted to come back to her place, but I felt like she was really into my date and maybe not me, thank God. Finally, Gemini got up to use the bathroom and, let's be real, probably do some drugs. My date and I got up and immediately left. But it doesn't end there. My date and I decided to hit up a grocery store that was open late for a bottle of wine.
Oh, no. Gemini came in the grocery store.
There's a gas station attached to the grocery store. And who do we see as we're leaving but Gemini sitting in the passenger seat of a creeper van? The guy who was pumping gas looked like a thug, like maybe he just got out of prison, all beefed up with tattoos and a shaved bald head. I'm pretty convinced that Gemini was trying to lure us somewhere for some kind of ill intent, whether they wanted to rob us or sex traffic my date. I have no idea. All I know is Gemini was a real weirdo. LOL, and this is signed to Nora.
Nora, I think you did avoid being kidnapped to some degree. Right?
That's a lot.
No, I mean, this is a strong come on. But with the, I got money, I mean, like, why would you even, if you truly were successful and had money, or you don't have to, people notice anyway. You don't have to tell people. And then you're showing pictures of nice cars and, these really cool places that's not even within 50 miles of where you're at. And then you're in a creeper van. I mean, come on, that does not add up.
What? Just who meets a stranger and immediately sit down and start asking them sex questions?
Yeah, no, it's very strange. And
very inappropriate.
Do you want to do some drugs?
No social graces.
Is one of the top 3 luring someone out of a bar moves.
And the most upsetting part of this is blowing cigarette smoke in Nora's face.
Yeah, that was disgusting. And I'm going to tell you, if you do drugs and someone says, hey, let's do these drugs, and you're like, hell yeah, you would look past some weird shit, just like, when are we going to get to the drugs? So you very well could find yourself in a fucked up situation.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling maybe they wanted your kidney or something.
Oh, my God.
Or maybe they were just trying to invite you over for a good time.
Or a bad time. Oh, sorry. I felt like that had more weight to it.
Okay.
Oh, damn, Nora. You avoided at the very least some weird drama.
Plus, I'll be honest, wearing that vinyl outfit,
yes,
that girl probably has some butt sweat.
Oh, my God. Who? You just knocked me out of the sexy thought.
Yeah. Can you imagine? She probably got sweat rolling down the crack of her ass.
Look,
outfit.
I'm not going to kink shame. Do you, whatever makes you happy.
I mean, those outfits look great.
Yeah, but the not that I've ever looked any of this up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But when they get into like the ripping them off and the I always think about like what's the ins and pros and cons of this situation, these outfits, this vinyl thing, because it's kind of weird to me. It's not for me.
Yeah. So you're saying you don't want a pair of pants that you need to Windex?
Well, if you have to baby powder this to get it in an outfit.
Oh my God, it's like Ross on Friends when he had the leather pants and he couldn't get them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't want to see Big Daddy in a Catwoman suit.
Oh, I do.
No,
I think, no.
We'll leave that to Halle Berry.
That is misinformation, Dylan. I think a lot of us would love to see you in a cat suit.
Oh my God. It would look like
like Michelle Pfeiffer's cat suit. I want to see you in the little cat mask. I want you with the little whip.
I was
doing flips.
I was doing Halle Berry. Michelle was a little too thin. Halle Berry in my head. She did things to young men.
Okay.
Anyway. Wow, thank you, Nora. You avoided some kind of bullshit.
Something.
Yeah. Very well could have been something bad.
Even if it wasn't, even if it was just avoiding someone's sweaty ass crack.
Yeah. But hey, we all know we're a true crime family. We all know that bad shit happens.
Or some underboob sweat.
And them being in some weird ass van with this big muscly, scary looking guy, that does not sound like a good thing.
Well, and what about this story that she was kidnapped in Mexico by gang members?
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. So that right there makes me think some weird shit. I don't know. It's a weird story. I'm glad that you made it out safe.
Damn it, Gemini.
We have one more, and this comes from someone who calls herself the Sassy Lassie.
Ooh, hey girl.
Are you ready?
Hey, Sassy Lassie.
I had turned off the lights and settled into bed when this happened, thinking to myself, thank goodness I'm finally in bed at a decent hour and can relax. My husband was dozing off when suddenly he jumps up and says, "There's a bad spirit or something in here." He jumped straight out of bed and flipped on the light. His mouth dropped and his face turned pale white. He was looking right at me, but like above my head. I'm asking, "Are you okay? What's going on?" His eyes were huge. I demanded to know what was going on. He slowly pointed, shaking above my head. "There's like a black orb floating right above you." I froze in place. He whispered, "Get up and walk over here." I slowly lifted myself up from the bed over by the bathroom door where my husband was standing. As I turned around, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye, but never actually saw the orb. It disappeared before I could see it. My husband does not usually believe in anything paranormal, so this scared me so bad. We've not seen anything else since in the house. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh my damn, son. A
Black orb.
That seems ominous in itself.
I've never heard of a black orb.
No.
So now I'm curious, like, what it was doing. Just
or what was
there?
it? Man, was it some malevolent energy?
Could be.
Damn, Sassy Lassie is like, yeah, you know what? And I'm gonna say, if it's someone who's always been a skeptic, and just brushes off anything paranormal, and then they have an experience,
that totally reinforces.
That gives it some weight.
You know, when I've had those experiences, I'm like, that reinforces that like something actually happened.
Right.
Right.
Damn.
It's creepy.
Her husband was in tune at the moment. He knew.
And saw a floating orb above her head.
And he cleared out and got to a safe place.
My question is, how the hell did y'all get back in that bed and go to sleep? Because I would have been up for the rest of the night.
I like how he got out of danger and then was like, okay, you need to move slowly away. I like that. Self-preservation. That's the animal instinct. Thank you, Sassy Lassie. And thank everyone. These have been some great stories.
As always.
I have to go to work, unfortunately. So, Heather kind of pushed us through this right quick. But we just had to get on the mic because we love you guys so much.
Yeah, I'm sorry in the beginning I was very mush-mouthed. Jill would call me a mush-mouth bitch.
Yo, mush-mouth bitch.
Couldn't help it. It takes me a minute to get my tongue working right.
Yo, smoky-mouth bitch.
You are. You and this Gemini person.
I holler random things at people out the window sometimes, and it really makes Heather laugh.
Are you going to tell them about that?
Well, I've hollered, even though I'm a smoky mouth bitch. I smoke cigarettes like crazy. I seen some chick, she just had like the damn so-and-so 100, just this big, huge movie-looking cigarette. And we're going in Starbucks, and I just hang my head out the window. I'm just like, "You smoky mouth bitch." And Heather's like, "What the hell?" So the other day, we're going through downtown.
Oh, I was going to ask, are you going to tell them about the dog story?
This is the best, right? Okay. Quick. We're going through downtown Waynesville, and you literally drive about 8 miles an hour through there. It's very quaint and crowded.
Yeah, the Main Street area. It's like a historic downtown, picturesque.
It'd be cute if we were the only people there.
Yes.
So anyway, it's crowded.
And there's an old historic courthouse.
Yeah, I'm going through real slow, and there's the old historic courthouse across from some restaurants. And so we see this old man going across the street in front of us with this dog who looked like it was older than him. I'm like, "Oh, cool." Guy's dragging his dog everywhere when he'd rather be at home laying on the porch. So he stops by a memorial across the street in front of the historic courthouse. This dog proceeds to lift his leg.
I know, I think it's like a veterans memorial.
It is. It is. Lift his leg and take the longest, because we're sitting at a stoplight looking, and take the longest.
We're sitting and looking at a stoplight.
Longest geriatric piss ever. He's like pissing on this thing for 5 minutes.
Look, the dog has a bad prostate.
Yeah. God love the dog. And so the guy's just standing there letting the dog just piss all over this memorial. And I was looking at Heather, and she's just shaking her head like, "What the hell?" So we go past the guy, and I was like, "Hey, great job letting your dog piss on that veterans memorial. Maybe later you can swing by and shit on my grandmother's grave." And this is a crowded Main Street. People are just looking, and that guy's like, "Oh." And I thought it was funny, but it's true.
I was just like about to crawl under the seat.
I don't know. I don't always do things like that, but sometimes they bring me out.
Well, no, we've seen folks at cemeteries with dogs, and I'm like, so you're just gonna like let your dog take a shit on somebody's grave?
This is not the dog part, guys.
There's signs that state no dogs.
Yeah, put it on a leash at the very least.
But no, they'll just let their, I don't know.
Okay, we're not going to rant.
Not going to let them piss on a veterans memorial.
These wonderful listener stories have raised my mood.
Spirits.
Yes.
Right? You feeling good?
Reminiscing with everyone.
You're like Lizzo, you feeling good as hell?
We love it. We love you all. And we're going to be back this Sunday for our this week's Mountain Murders. We're also going to try to drop a batshit crazy if you're into the weird and deer. Near and dear weird. Nah, it's not working.
I was like, I don't even really know what you just said.
Heather's not going to edit that out, so everyone knows that I'm dumb.
Okay, you need to go to work.
All right.
Bye, y'all.